What's up, guys? We're gonna roll beats. Today I'm gonna be showing you guys the harmony method. If you guys haven't subbed already or turned post news on, as you do so, those does help it a lot. Let's hop right into it. So what we need to do is just grabbing a scale just so you can see what I'm doing. So we can just roll with, let's just do like a C sharp minor. Okay, and how I'm gonna do this is break this up. So I want to start completely from the basics and we build up into the advanced stuff, into the method. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna just explain the things you need to know in order to do this. All right. Okay, so we need to start with the basics real quick. And the reason I'm explaining this is because there's a certain thing you need to pay attention to in order to do this on the fly. So what you need to do is know a minor and a major. There are other chords, but those are the most common ones you need to know in order for this to work. And you're probably like, oh, I already know them. Yeah, but what you need to pay attention to is the spaces that create them. Okay, so I'm gonna turn off this background real quick. So we have our minor, real quick, we have our minor, and then we have our major chord. Okay, now what I want you to pay attention to, and I have a full video going over this on how to do this, but real quick, basically going to pay attention to the spaces. So the only numbers you need to remember is 3 and 2. Okay, and if you flip those, you'll either get a minor chord or a major chord. All right, so when you recognize these spaces, you can make chords, and I'm pretty sure how you can see this is going to be helpful for you. So you need to remember these spaces. So 2, 3. So to make a major chord, you have a 3 and 2 space, right? So you could literally put this anywhere, right? So you just count 1, 2, 3, place it, and then the top part is just the smaller part. So 1, 2. You have a major chord or a minor. You just do 2 spaces and then 3 spaces above and place it. All right, so that is something you need to understand, because if you don't, you're gonna be lost throughout this entire video. All right, so now we're gonna start the harmony method, and I will be trying to break this up into multiple parts because this could get a little confusing, and if I do it in one shot, people may get lost along the way. So I'm gonna try to chop it up. But basically, at the end of this, you should be able to easily make chord progressions without the help of scales or whatever, right? So let's turn these back on. So the first thing that you need, right, and it's very basic, is one chord. That is all you need. You don't need to know anything else, just know one chord. It could be anything here. It could be a diminished, augment, it doesn't matter. Okay, you can put anything down. Even though we're in C sharp minor, you can use whatever note you want. So you could use F sharp, something like that. Let me spread this out. So let's make our chord, skip that note, place, skip this note, place. Now one note. If you want your stuff to sound really good, you probably want to add maybe 2 to 3 more notes, and you'll see why later. I'll explain later why. So we can continue our chord, make a 7th, and keep going. All right, you can kind of, you want to delete a note, you can, it's whatever. So that is the first part, make a chord. So now we can kind of go over to the second part. Okay, so now we're at the second part, and this is adding the bass line. Okay, now a lot of y'all see me do this all the time, but I just want to explain it in depth. So don't worry about any of these. Don't take this one. Now you can do that. You can do anything you want in music, but in order to follow this method, so everything is in harmony, right? At the end, we want to take the lowest note. Okay, so the bass or the root note, bring it out, and then you build a chord upward or downward, just like this, or you could build it downward like that, build a chord that way. I'm going to keep this because it's already in place, and I don't have to, if I were to use the ones up here, I would have to transpose. All right, and the goal here is to just get a bass line, like a basic harmony. We could delete this one because we already have it. And then let's just pull this over. All right, so now we have a bass harmony to work with. Now, you can put other notes in here after this, right? So once you have this bass, you can throw in some other notes if you want. I'm going to throw one of these in real quick, just because it's simple. Just this E, right? Because we're using a scale and all these notes work together. So you just have to know how to make them work together. So that is the bass line. Let's move on to the next part. All right, so this is the last part, and this is where the harmony method actually comes in. Okay, so what you need to do, and you don't got to know any chords, you don't got to know anything. That one chord we use, we're going to copy the entire chord, and we want to align this lowest note with each of these. So if I hold shift and drag, let's make this smaller, and you want to align this note, the lowest note, with the note that you want it to apply to. And what you need to do is delete any notes that don't go within the scale. Okay. Now, if you don't know how to build a major and minor from scratch, or you're not familiar with it, this is where that knowledge will come in handy. So now we can just delete the notes that don't go within. So delete that one, delete this one because it doesn't follow. Okay. And then same thing over here. I'm trying to do this slow, and just delete the notes that don't go within. Same thing over here. Apply the same notes, delete the ones that don't work, and then we can just copy this one over because it's the same note. And after this, you can add notes that you like, and I'll show you in the next part how to do that, but I'll play it. All right, so now I'm gonna show you how to add notes. All right, so this part is pretty much just showing you how to make melodies out of this. So we're just going to use the same method, except we're not locked to our bass. So if you want to add other notes in between, you're not sure which ones to add, you could just use your ear, which I encourage. But if you're really not sure, you can just use the same method. So if you want to make a note in between, you're not sure which one is going to work, you can be like, okay, let's just make a chord out of this A like that. Okay. And you can transpose things upward, downward, whatever you want to do. Okay. And I think that's pretty much it for this method. So now what we can do is actually do this in like a real situation, and just make a melody out of this. Okay, so here's the VST I'm using. So now we're just gonna make a melody throughout, just using the method. So we can start on the root this time, and then we can just go up and make this super complex. And then we can add any note, right? Right, doesn't matter. So from here, same thing. Actually, let's offset this. You can go up or you go downward. I'm gonna go downward, and then we can just kind of offset some of these notes like that. Right now, if you wanted to build off of this, right, if you want to keep going, so if you want to use this note, then this note, what you could do is build a chord from this, right? Or if you want to keep going and then pull it down an octave, it's up to you, but I'm gonna just do some basic. So we have our bass line, then we can copy this down here and delete the notes and then add what we need. So we can, I don't think we need to delete anything here. Okay, I like that one. And if you want to, you can do this, but I'm gonna copy the original just so we're consistent. Delete that, delete that, delete that. And then if we want, we can continue it out like that. Okay, and this is how you make adjustments, right? Over here, let's build this one from scratch, right? And then we can go backward, pull this up 2 octaves, and then from this note, we can build a chord this way. And let's copy this one up and build it down. Right, and that's just another way that you can get a slightly different sound rather than either just copying this here and deleting notes that don't fit, or just simply just making the chord all the way up, right? You can go backward, pull it up 2 octaves or an octave, and then you can build from here. Go backward, take this note, pull up, and then kind of build a chord with this, right? Let's just copy that over, and that is our chord progression. So now let's move on to the next sound. All right, so this is the bass plugin we're using, and what I'm gonna do is just copy the bass line here, just the notes we need. Let's go over here, paste it, and move this over. So now we know our range, but let's just say we did know the range. We could just pull this down an octave, play it. And then with basses like this, I like to hold Alt when I play stuff so it's slightly off. Now from here, and this is how you would make your melodies, you would use the method I showed you before, where you would, instead of just keep trying the notes, you could just make a chord out of this and you'll find notes that work. So we can use this one, And then we can use that F because we know the F is a part of this. Let's just see if we can get something. Pull this note over. Then let's pull that down. And then let's do the same thing. Skip this note, kind of make a chord out of it. Okay, I like that. Let's pull it over. And that is our bass line. And let's move on to the next. Next up, we have our strings. And this is super simple. We can just use our root and then just kind of make a chord out of that. And you can use any of these notes. I'm going to transpose this down to use that. I'm going to just be basic and do that. All right, so those are the strings. All right, so now we have a guitar. So from here, what you could do if you're not sure is you could just use some notes from the main chord. So we're in a C sharp minor, so we can use notes from here. So you can take this, offset it, and you can make a chord upward, make a chord downward. Now, if you notice, I'm using dyads, which is just 2 notes instead of 3. And the reason I'm doing this is because I just have more freedom to do what I want after this. And we can just probably move this over somewhere. But from here, you can kind of combo this like that. If you want to build up into it, it's up to you. Let's maybe offset this a little bit more. And then we can use a trick where you go octave to octave. So you could copy this, pull this down an octave, and maybe we can offset it with something like this. And now you know you can use any note in between here to get back to this. So we could. And then from here, you could make a chord. So make a chord backwards. You can see we land here, right? Because this is why it's the harmony method, because you're just making sure everything is clumping up together, right? Let's put that back, and then we can just offset that. All right, pretty smooth. I'm not gonna keep it consistent. I'm gonna just let it play throughout. So that is a guitar, and let's move on to the last instrument. All right, so now it's the VST, and we're just using a bell. Let's go up in here. So with this, we got a little bit of fun. I'm gonna show you how to kind of freestyle with it, I guess. So you can pick any notes you want at this point. I'm just playing with the chords. You can pick any note that you like. So we could choose this F sharp. And from here, same thing before, right? Let's make these a little bit longer. And actually, let's do the thirds, right? Kind of implement everything. Then from here, let's, make a chord out of this, right? And then we could take this B and use chord to chord method, right? And then let's kind of put it in the same spot. I'm gonna zoom out so you can see. Start it there. Okay, and from here you can really have fun. So if you want to, right, we can offset it and then build a chord backwards into this. And then from here you can kind of combo with other chords now. So I'm looking at a suspended right here, like that, right? Or you could do something like that. It's up to you. So now you can combo the chords with this, right? You can see this is starting to go in there as well. I'm gonna stop this playing right here. Just fix this up a bit. Oh, and that fits perfect. All right. Okay, now over here we can, same thing, just build a chord backwards. Just keep going. Hopefully you can see that. And I'll redo it. So build the chord backwards. And we just offset some of the notes. All right, and that's kind of how you can use the method to your advantage. You can keep going with this as long as you need. So I'm gonna play everything real quick, all the way through. Here we go. All right, and that's gonna be it for this. Hopefully it was helpful. Again, I'll try to put the chapters so it's easy to follow and you can come back to parts that you need. But that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.